Today, I'm going to talk just briefly about research I was privileged to do with Malka Halgamug. She is an expert in computer science and information systems. She produced an article in 2017, which looked at the impact of weak radiofrequency radiation and its impacts on plants. And in that study, she found that in almost 9 out of 10 of the studies she looked at found significant impact on the physiology or morphology, that is the functioning or the shape of these plants. And the plants were particularly vulnerable if they were maize, roselle, pea, fenugreek, duckweeds, tomato, or onions. And plants, like people, are more responsive to certain frequencies. Subsequent to meeting her, she and I then did an analysis further, and we looked at the specific types of impacts, and we specifically looked at different algorithms that can be applied. And what we showed was that if you looked at DNA damage in plants, and you can look at DNA damage directly in plants, you can look at chromosomal aberrations in plants, and micronuclei, which are exquisitely sensitive measures of DNA functioning, that you can predict from the RF EMF studies how those plants will be affected adversely. And we were able to show by the different systems of classification that there was a significant effect on these plants, looking at different types of data within the system and looking at different algorithms for looking at patterns in these studies. What makes the plant studies particularly pertinent is that when you look one level up at the tiny little zebrafish, which is an animal that has been well studied in toxicology for years, you find something very interesting. A 2020 study looked at whether or not there were birth defects, teratogenic effects in embryos, and did not follow those animals to further development, even though they showed some subtle indications of suppressed activity in things like a startle response. But a subsequent study looked at greater detail and let those embryos grow to adults. And what they found is that the embryos that grew to adults had a significant damage to their behavior as measured by a number of, again, standard assays that we look at in these laboratory animal fish. And the effects were at frequencies used in 5G.